upload it to YouTube. Welcome to Animation Scripting. This is our first session. So, how are you tonight?
I'm okay.
Good. So, are you going to pause it? I mean, are you going to like mute yourself?
Well, if my dogs start barking, I'm going to have to. Or if I lose my voice.
Okay, no worries. All right. So, we are using Adobe Flash. I think you've probably got it downloaded and installed.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So, our agenda, we can go. I thought we'd go, you know, I don't want to cut it off so much that first hour. If we can keep going, that'd be great, because it's just you and me. And so if we can keep going, that's fine. So.
Oh, that's fine with me.
All right. Here's our agenda. Course overview and objectives, class policies, OER. And then we can go on and do overview and objectives, talk about the discussion, and then overview of the assignment. So you probably have read the course description. This is the third class in animation and action script animation. Actually, in this class, we're going to try to get away from action script animation and try to get more towards JavaScript animation. So it does focus on the basics of computer programming. The good news is you can just use snippets in this class rather than coding from scratch. Which do you like, using snippets or coding from scratch?
What snippets?
Those are pre-created by some other person, and you just plug them in. In fact,
you're talking about just grab them and put them in? Yeah,
in fact, the company Adobe has actually created several snippets of code that you can just use, and then you customize them to fit your application. But do you like coding from scratch, or are you okay with using?
It doesn't matter either way. I can tell you right now, whatever's the easiest is the best, because I'm not going to remember everything.
Yeah, we'll go with snippets, and that's okay. So it does talk about how to write high-level code that dynamically places, moves, and alters the elements of a design on a screen. But we just have to remember that if we're using code snippets, then we are taking advantage of what someone else has used. And it's kind of an interesting conversation, because on one hand we say, well, we really don't want to take advantage and copy the work, like the images that somebody else has created, unless we just kind of want to start from scratch if we're creating images and assets. But the irony of it is code is its own asset. And in this course, we were advocating people use and reuse code. And so it's a little bit of an oxymoron that we're kind of saying, yeah, don't copy images that you might be licensed to use, because we want you to get the work done. And whereas we are in the code. So anyways, we'll talk about that later. It's kind of a, let's be flexible here, because taking advantage of other people's work apparently has its place. And so we'll talk about that more later. How to write high-level code that dynamically places, moves, and alters the elements of a design on screen. Basically saying moving your assets around on the screen, whether they be text or images, or even creating some dynamically created graphics. Students will build complex programs step by step, which kind of suggests starting from scratch, but not necessarily, and employ key programming skills and methods while building up a code base that can be employed in a range of personal and professional applications. See, that last part kind of gives it away, meaning we do want you to build a bunch of code that you can then reuse in the future. And so we are kind of advocating the idea of creating a library here. And when I say library, but I mean just a bunch of files that have code in it. And so that you can use it in the future. So we're advocating reuse, code reuse. That's what they're talking about here. Skills and methods while building up a code base. That's basically a library of code that can be employed in a range of personal and professional applications. So you would have an application both in your personal apps as well as anything in a company. So that's the goal, to think along that line. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Here's our course objectives, and this is across the 4 weeks. Identify and explain how the scripting language has progressed towards HTML. And so just so you are clear, in this class, we differentiate between the scripting language called JavaScript and the coding of HTML. HTML is hypertext markup language, and so technically it's not a scripting language, but JavaScript is, or ActionScript is. We'll talk about the difference between ActionScript and JavaScript later. Number 2, create a user interactive animation using an advanced scripting language. So there, when it talks about interactive, that differentiates this class from the previous class. The previous class, you are creating an animation that you pretty much just watch happen, and you don't stop it or alter its movement in any way. This class introduces interactivity so that your animation can have some degree of interaction, which would be, for example, stop and start, or which could be speed, which could be pausing, etc. So for that matter, no one has done this in the classes I've taught, but even the interaction of your mouse, where the movement of your mouse not necessarily is clicking on a button, but just by the movement of your mouse, you create some sort of interaction based upon the mouse move command. So that's another option here. Number 3, apply the use of a good user experience, UX. That's short for user experience, and user interface, UI, in an animation. So here we imagine and envision and plan the whole animation from the first week. We anticipate what the storyboard sequence will be like, and we anticipate good user interactivity. That's key. Number 4, identify and explain the challenges of creating animations in a cross-platform device development environment. Now, what that's talking about is you create one thing, and it gets to be used and viewed in a variety of different devices. For example, on a laptop, or on a desktop with a big screen, or on a tablet, or on a smartphone. Each of those are different devices, and each of them have different characteristics that make the animation unique. And one major obvious differentiation is the size of the display. So how to create an animation that is tailored to a particular size. In this course, we are pinpointing 2 sizes, one for a typical desktop and or laptop, and then one for a typical smartphone. We kind of avoid the tablet size display, and so we focus on 2 displays in our assignments, 2 display sizes. Now, on one hand, you might think, well, can I create one application that expands between the 2? That's actually a challenge to do that. In this course, we don't put that challenge up for you to take, but there are certain factors about an animation that dynamically scales between, for example, the smartphone size to a larger screen size. So those are some of the challenges of creating animations in a cross-platform. We say cross-platform device, but basically we're just saying something that can work or in both a small device versus a large device. Number 5, prepare files that address the challenges of creating animations in a cross-platform device development environment. And that's basically the publish step. It's basically outputting your creation to a file format that is supported by the target device. Any questions?
No.
Okay, so in this course, we're going to be creating a final project. And start to finish, we conceptualize it and create, produce, and publish it. So weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, pretty much, and animated infographic to be presented in your professional portfolio. Now, we use the word infographic, and we can be pretty liberal about the definition of what that means. And, the animation is pretty strict about what we're talking about there. But an infographic, that's a little bit, we can be pretty flexible about that. Typically, when you think of infographics, you think of charts that are displaying information in a way that's easy to consume. That's one definition of an infographic. But in this context, we're going to be a little more liberal with that definition, and we even have talked about in this assignment to create, for example, an animated piece that will just present you. So the information would be about you rather than about some factual information. So that's a possibility. And we'll talk about some ideas, and we'll narrow it down here in this probably in this first lecture. So let's talk a little bit about these class policies and that we need to make sure we're clear on. I haven't yet been contacted by the TA. I actually don't know whether or not I'm not really sure on that. So I'll get to you on that when I find out and I'm more clear. And I'll actually post an announcement about that too. So this is going to be great because you and I can just text back and forth. So communication is going to be great throughout this mod. So this is general information for just for the larger class. Now, when I taught it previously, I taught Misty Porch was our TA, but I haven't yet confirmed that she's going to be our TA this mod. So that's still questionable. Any questions on this?
No, sir.
Okay. You know all about the due dates discussions. So Wednesday night, 11:59, 2 replies. Now here we don't have 2 other things, so I'm just going to give you full credit for your 1 reply.
Okay.
You and I will be going back and forth. So I expect even in the discussion that the interaction between you and me will be adequate. So that'll be fine.
Okay, that's fine.
Assignments and assessments. Typically, if you have 2 classes in a mod, I allow 1 extra day for both assignments and assessments. So do you have 2 classes this mod?
No, just 1.
Okay. All right, so we'll focus on the Saturday night deadlines. We have these late policies. I don't expect you're going to ever be late. So.
I hope not.
And then resubmissions, we can. I'm fine with resubmitting things. And here's one policy where we can have week 1 be able to resubmit for regrading until the end of week 2 if you've got it in by the end of week 1, and likewise for week 2 and week 3. So Wednesday. And we have the rubrics. Remember to just name the files properly and meet those submission deadlines. You'll get the points for those things. And if you have any issue, just go ahead and make sure you contact me before the deadline. Different types of extenuating circumstances are documented here. And I think they might be in our syllabus. I'm not exactly sure.
I think they are, but I'm not for sure either. But I remember them all.
These here, computer issues and loss of internet due to non-payment. Huh. This is kind of interesting. I'm glad to know that these are here. I've always wondered what our policies were on that. Computer issues and loss of internet. Now, have you heard the phrase OER? OER, online
I can't remember on that one.
Online educational resources. And what the goal is here is to quickly provide information to our students that is available to them, whether it be in the form of websites or ebooks, etc., available online. We have also documented these things in the classroom under readings and tools, and they are available. We're actually working on creating a library of links and the like that will be available to you even after the class closes down. Now you can see here, we've got Edge Animate documented in here. It's a different program than Adobe Flash, and so we want to just be aware that in the future that will be Adobe Flash is going to be phased out, but we're still going to use that in this course. Edge Animate's the future one.
I've already used it once in one of the classes.
Really?
Edge Animate.
Was that 246?
No, it was another one. I can't remember. I think so. It may have been.
I think it was. Was Loki the teacher?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he was using 246.
It was pretty fun. Different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I think, where Adobe's headed. Edge Animate is going to be phased out. They're going to be creating Adobe Animate, and Adobe Flash will be phased out, and Edge Animate will be phased out, and it'll just be Animate, Adobe Animate.
They're almost the same, just a little bit of difference.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how they created the Edge Animate, and they're going to phase that out, and then they're going to create another one. So.
Yep, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, what I don't really get is where does Adobe Dreamweaver play in this whole thing? I think they're going to be phasing Adobe Dreamweaver out too. But the fact is, Adobe Dreamweaver, when you're dealing, can deal with HTML5, and that's the output format that we're going to be using. So it's a little bit confusing when you have this website editor called Adobe Dreamweaver, and then you've got this output from your Adobe Flash, which is HTML5 and JavaScript. You know, what do you do when you've got a tool? So there's a lot of overlap, so it'll be interesting. Let's see, what time is it? 7:40. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, just go ahead. I'm fine.
Okay. Week 1 overview. So this is just a refresher of the tools, Adobe Flash and so on. While we're reviewing these tools, we'll explore the types of files that are needed to deploy an animation in a cross-platform environment. We'll also learn how to present our concepts before we animate them with storyboarding for desktop and mobile devices. So that's just storyboarding. Defined UI and cross-platform interactive platform. Conceptualize an interactive animated infographic and identify and use the tools to create an interactive animation. So let's just think for a second. And can you think, do you have any thoughts on what you might like to create? I've got some samples that I can show you later on.
Not at this moment. I've been thinking about it. I just don't know quite yet. Last time I did on the other program, Edge Animate, I did Tickle Me Elmo commercial top advertisement. So I don't know how I would do this time. It turned out okay. It's just not what I wanted to do, but it's kind of hard to. I got to think of something a little bit more business type.
And tell me again, what was it you created? You said it, and I didn't.
Tickle Me Elmo.
Oh, okay.
Advertisement from Toys R Us. It was pretty cute.
Huh.
It was a little girl walking across, seeing the commercial and all that kind of stuff, and then at the end, she got her Tickle Me Elmo, and it was just kind of funny.
Well, during our break, I'd like to see that. It'd be kind of interesting.
If I have to find it. It's in one of my classes. I'll have to look up which class it was.
You used Edge Animate?
It's probably that one you were talking about, the 260 whatever.
246.
246. Yeah, I'll look it up. I can't right now because I don't know where it'd be at. I know it might be on my external. I can look if you want me to.
Yeah, in a moment. Let's do that. I'm just curious to see, because there are definitely some concepts that we can garner from that regarding storyboarding, I think. That'd be interesting to see. So here are our discussion, assignment, and assessment for this week. Interactive animated infographics, the discussion. We'll look at that question here in just a second. The assignment is concept on the storyboard, and then the assessment, learning the tools. Their Q&A, or their question, what's it called? The assessments are choose. Oh man, I got a blank. They're it's not a written assessment. It's a choose your answer type assessment. We'll see it here in a minute. So what is an interactive animated infographic is the discussion question. And then we'll share with others your concept of what your final project may entail. So let me see if I can. What's on the screen right now?
It just says discussion.
Let's see. Okay. Let's see.
They being stubborn.
Well, I'm wanting to share a different screen, but I think I'm going to have to do a new share. Let me try that. Let's see. Let me try that. Did that work? What's on the screen now?
It shows the page of the week one discussion.
Perfect.
And question, all that kind of stuff.
That was my goal. To show this week one discussion. For the first part of this discussion, let me see if I can zoom in. For the first part of the discussion, research interactive animated infographics and write a 150-word summary. Now, if you search for that, interactive animated infographics, I think you're going to find that that they're pretty much regarding information, sharing information. So you can use ProQuest and Shark. You're familiar with those, probably. And so I have some references that I'll be quoting from in the discussion this week. And then here's a good example of what you're supposed to do. So let's talk about some ideas right now. Maybe I'm going to see if I can share some ideas. What do you see on the screen right now?
The same thing. It hasn't changed.
Okay. All right, so let me share do another share here. I want to give you an example of one. Now what do you see on the screen?
I see your Dropbox area.
Okay, good. So here's an idea, and it's Ron's work from the mod I taught, and it's currently sized to be, it goes on. I have to scroll in order to do that. This is his mobile one. Let me see if the desktop one won't require that I don't have to scroll. Yeah, there we go. That one, the other one was a portrait, and it would have sized fine with it. Mobile. So here's an example of one, and you can see a mouse over event will change the button. Are you seeing? Do you see the screen? And does it say Ronald?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the mouse over event is causing it to change, and then when you click on it, see that?
Yes.
And so the mouse over changes the button, and then the on click is what starts the animation. And so the animation starts and then stops, and when in a certain frame, those fireworks, and he's got the sound effects too. So that's, and you can see, looks like he's moving the, I actually never realized that he's kind of dynamically putting this rocket back on the ground. I realized that I haven't looked at his code to see if that's something. But that's all that's going on. There's a little bit of text turned off and turned back on, and you can see each time I launch it, it comes up with a different page from his. That was project. Here's skills, and there's his original. So first rocket goes off. History. Next one, achievements. Next one, projects and skills. I don't think that's random. I think he's got those are pre-programmed, and it's not a random thing. It's definitely, he's got the animation following around, and all that's all done. All right, so there's one example of one, and then Tito has another one here that I want to share. Let me see. Maybe this is made a mistake. I thought that I had it downloaded, but I think it must be week. His week 4 is. I didn't download that. I thought I had downloaded it and to show you. I just have his week 3, and his week 3 is just what he got going in week 3 rather than the full thing. I don't have his week 4 after all.
That's okay.
As I mentioned earlier, we have. We're not going to be doing the action script. We're just going to do the HTML document. So I'll be showing you that. So back to the discussion here. So in this discussion, you would document the idea that you have, and so technically, what I just showed you is an example of an infographic. The infographic, the usage of the word infographic sounds like a little restricting, but it should be interpreted liberally. In this discussion post, you can see that there's some description of the interactivity that takes place. You'll talk about your assets. You can talk about scenes briefly. You can talk about the interactivity that takes place. You can also talk about any extra media that you're using, such as audio and or video, but probably more audio than video.
Are you sharing your screen, or are you just?
Oh yeah, I apologize.
I thought, what is he talking about?
Hold on. Now I've got like 3 screens shared, and I'm not exactly sure. Let's see which one. Yeah, this was the one I thought we were on right here. Can you see the definition?
Now I see it.
The description of the discussion?
Yes.
Okay, this is what I was pointing out here. That you can see there's a description of the interactivity that takes place. You can talk about the assets and also the storyboards or scenes, if you will. The scenes of your story. Interactivity. And so on. So let me give you some more ideas on what you can create. You can create something that resembles a game that's got interactivity. You can create, this was an example of a dynamic resume. Definitely a possibility. That's fine. You can also create things that do have information, and perhaps an animated chart or bar graphs and so on. And for example, an animated pie chart. In your description, you will want to talk about transitions from scenes. As we get in the storyboard, we'll be talking more about that. But as you describe your storyboard or your movie, you can describe transitions from scene to scene. You can talk about fades and camera angle, quote unquote camera angle. You can like zooms and pans, things like that. You had an idea of an advertisement, and I think that this too could potentially, something like that could be useful. An interactive, an application that introduces you and and potentially images from your portfolio. That's another option. So have you got any ideas thus far?
Not really. I'm still thinking. Yeah, I've looked online for different kind of like ideas, to kind of look over some of the ones that you're talking about. And
Yeah.
there's a few on there.
Yeah, YouTube would be also a good source. People have uploaded their animations. But obviously, once you get into YouTube, they're no longer interactive. So, let's see. I haven't yet done any searching on this in YouTube, but I'm going to just, let's see. Interactive. We'll just try it. Infographic site. See, the thing I like, can you see this?
Yes.
The thing I like about this is this is what the guy does for a living, and it definitely is in the context of an infographic. So, oh, poor guy's got a typo. Information per piece of information.
That's funny.
Therefore,
You probably didn't even see it.
always. I wonder what font this is. 2 validated references, 1 per piece of information. So let's talk about some of these things. You can see zooms are going on. In fact, I'll turn off the. I'll mute it. So let's just talk about the storyboard that would come from this. So he's got scenes, look, animation in that. He's just text that's bouncing. And there's his transition. He's using text, and that's a good zoom and pan there. There's a pan. More pan. He uses different speeds. That's pretty good how he does that. His transitions are really good because he's keeping content. It's very continuous there. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, this guy's got a lot of animation. Definitely an animated infographic. Background music. He likes that. Well, let me give you some. These are pretty good places to start, I think. Let me see if I can chat this to you. There's one link, and this is the other. Or actually here. So lots of bouncy animation.
Ah, there it goes.
Oh, you're watching.
Sorry about that. I was going to copy it.
That's
It went
okay.
off on me. It's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'll mute it again. So lots of boy, there's a lot going on here.
She didn't look too happy.
No. I wish they would say what program they're using on these.
Adobe After Effects?
That's it.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
I wonder if we can get After Effects in our download.
I don't know. Let me look and see. I can check and look at it.
Okay.
That's if I can get it up. It's being stubborn right now. Cloud's being slow, I guess, because we're on. Come on. Wake up. Well, let me try it again.
Oh. Yeah, look at that. I guess we have rights to it. Anyways, we'll be focusing on Adobe Flash, but it's pretty interesting that the guy said Industry Standard is Adobe Illustrator plus Adobe After Effects.
For some reason, I can't get my Adobe Cloud thing up, so I'll work on it later. It's probably being stubborn. Probably got too much open.
Is your, do you use a Mac?
No, sir. I use PC all the way. I've never had a Mac. I wish I did.
Are you a web, what is your major? What's your emphasis?
Web design development.
Okay. Have you had a class where you learned JavaScript?
Yes, I think so. It's been a while, but yeah, I think so. I hope. I'll be going to something new. I think we had to learn that way back.
All right, so back to the conversation of the projects and the storyboard. I think we got through the discussion, and we've talked a little bit about this project. So the storyboard, so that's assignment 1. And then this week we'll be creating 2 storyboards of your self-promo. That's probably a good thing to think about. It's a self-promotional project that we're creating. Interactive, animated infographic, one for the desktop, one for mobile, specifically on a smartphone. When designing for a mobile device, you have to take into consideration people will be using their fingers to touch the screen to interact with your infographic instead of the much more precise cursor or your mouse or trackpad. So here's a link for storyboarding. This is going to be a 13-minute long one, and you can do that in your time. It basically is a real storyboard, a professional storyboarder, and how he you can see on the wall, it's a storyboard for a film. And we also have templates for storyboard definition. And I'll show you what those look like. So here's a template right there. It's a 16 by 9 aspect ratio template. And it's already prepared for landscape mode for your desktop and then portrait mode for a mobile app. And you can download that and open up Adobe Illustrator and use this to define your storyboard. Now, you can use the drawing tools in Adobe Illustrator to define your storyboard, or you can also use paper and pencil or any other drawing tool, and the goal will be to have a scene in each of the storyboard information areas here. The important part of the storyboards is that you talk about how much time you anticipate to be in the scene and the transition from this scene to the next scene. I don't know if you do that, but I like to keep them in sync. Now, if you have a different template, we're actually open to you using a different template. But if you want to use this template, you can either go ahead and draw your scene right in this, right here in this document. Let me show you some examples. I think I've got them. I was quite sure that I had the weekly folders already set up, and I think I have this data sitting in in a repository online, and I think that it's just not been updated properly. So so let's see. So I will work on getting some examples of storyboards for our next session. But you just basically do a drawing for each scene and describe the interactivity that takes place in that scene, and then the transition to the next scene. And be sure to include any kind of interaction that you might include. So this will be what's turned in for your assignment into the Dropbox here. This is
what I had sorry. This is what I had a hard time with the other class. Not the animation itself, the storyboard.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's work on that.
I mean, I can show you my thing if you want to see it right quick, but
oh, good.
I'll have to share it. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Let me find it. I've got to get it up first, huh? I'll just share it and then I'll go get it. Okay. It is. You just want the HTML just to see it? Here it comes.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not that great because it's on this. Well, it's not even working. What happened? It's not working now. I must have left something out. Huh. Wait, maybe I got the wrong one. Let me try this one. I don't know if I have to have the whole thing together because he had to use the whole thing to look at it. It may not work. Oh, there it goes. It's going to have some lag because this ain't the revised one, but it stops and then it continues. But no sound because we never did do sound in that class. That's where the TV goes off and then she's holding her tickling me Elmo. And that's it.
Cute. What?
Then it brings up this. I had to take all this out, some of it, so I don't know why it's not showing my original.
DES360. So I've been wrong all this time. I've been.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, but you were talking, and I already interrupted you just now. So.
Yeah, I've been saying DES246 all this time, but that's actually the first Flash class. So this is the second Flash class.
That one I did a camel and birds, and I did sound with it. So I'm gonna have to learn sound on this one that you're talking about because I have no idea how to do it. This one was totally different. He didn't show us how to do sound, or he may have, and I just didn't get it. But you can have it back now.
Okay.
I could have done better, but I was sick then too, so I don't have time to catch up.
This is the rubric for the assignment. Craftsmanship, concept, and completeness. And so what I'd like to do is help you with the storyboard.
I don't even know what I want to do it on, though. I mean, what do we have to do it on? Could we do something like I already did and I can use like elephants or something? Or does it have to be something to do with in my portfolio?
No, it's pretty liberal definition of what is an infographic.
I mean, that's what I basically did in that other class. It was just a different program type. So, I mean, I can do it on anything, I guess. I mean, I can do it on my resume or portfolio or.
All right, well,
so I really don't know. I'm going to have to do some research, I think.
So let's kind of come up with some ideas. Let's brainstorm for a second. You can think about a story that you want to tell. And the goal of the story will be to show off your ability to not only be creative with the story, but also creative with the implementation of it. So, are there any stories you'd like to tell about, perhaps about your studies or about your ideas for your future? That might be interesting. Let's talk about that for a second. What are your ideas for your?
I want to eventually have my own business. I mean, we did that on our last class. We kind of did all the groundwork type thing, you know, just basically come up with what our company to be, come up with a logo, which I did that. Kind of basically, it was mostly finance, how you'd finance your business to start it out. And of course, mine's going to be a home-based business at first. So that would be the only thing I can think of at this time.
How about,
there's others like,
how about telling the story of taking a client and going from concept to business, the whole business. Let's say the story is going from just an idea to a product or service, and the story is about how you can help a person go from just the concept to a full-on product. And so the points I'm making are, number one, you could start them off with helping them with your ideas on branding, on color selection, on logo, the font choice. You've probably heard of a branding book or a style guide that large companies create for.
I was going to create a company doing web pages, because that's basically what my whole study is web pages or web design.
All right, so the story you could talk about is someone coming in who doesn't have a website, who maybe even doesn't have a logo, just has an idea, doesn't have any colors selected, or styling, and when you help a person brand themselves. Now you're a graphic design
No, I'm web design and development. I wish I was a graphic designer. Maybe I have a little bit of the more know-how.
Now, are you working on a bachelor's degree or associate?
A bachelor's degree.
Okay.
See, I'm fixing to finish up, so I have to create. Actually, I'm going to have to create a scratch website of my portfolio, and I'm not too anxious. I've been working on it using Udemy. I think that's what it's called. Doing courses on Udemy to try to get me to a point of using HTML5 and all the others to create this page, because it has to be done with Scratch. And it's been a while since I've used all those programs, and nobody can do that for me but me.
Yeah, you're talking about Udemy.
Yes.
Udemy or something. Udemy.
Something like that. And I've been taking a course with them. I'm not quite, just started it, so I'm not quite there. I'm just to the second lesson, I think is what they call it, which has a lot of different little things on it, videos that you have to watch first. But I'm getting there. It's just going to take me a little bit. I'm just trying to get it done before I have to do the big major class to do that webpage.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give you some more ideas of and starting points. This week, you don't have to worry about this or the implementation. That's not until really next week would be assets. The week 3 is implementation. But here I am in Adobe Flash. Can you see? Is that on my screen or no?
No, I just see week 1 assignment concepts and the storyboard.
Okay.
You're having a lot of trouble today. There you go.
There we go. So when you start up Adobe Flash, it gives you a splash screen, and here you can see a click for templates. Links here for going to the Learning Center, and certain introductory links here. So I wanted to point out to you that we're going to be focused on creating a new HTML5 canvas instead of this. The reason we're going to go with that is because that's not dependent upon an Adobe Flash runtime program. That one can stand alone with the browser, at least with an updated browser that supports HTML5 and CSS3. These down in here are for using Air, which is a it's kind of like a portable Flash engine that allows you to run. It's not the Flash engine because you don't have an SWF file. That's what this type creates, and so this is a little bit like a Flash engine, but it's not. The file format that it uses is different than SWF. So click on templates here, and I wanted to point out that Adobe Flash comes with several templates, and you might want to go through these in order to get inspired with some ideas. And here is the one for animation. And so this one would be a template for some of these different types of animations. So these others here are not necessarily going to be interesting to you just because they aren't designed to do an animated thing. So Air for Android, there's that AIR. I forget what AIR stands for, but it has to do with an environment that you can run published animations from Adobe Flash that will run specifically on an Android machine or iPhone. So let's go with here, animation. And so there's some ideas here that you can use and take advantage of. Remember, we talked about creating a library of code. Well, this is a type of library for you that they've provided. And here they have an button highlight, text glow, just text itself, a mask motion tween, which is a way that you can mask and do motion tween for your animation, mask shape tween, random movement organic, scripted rain, and scripted snow. So you can get look at some of these, and I'm going to create videos going over each of these, but they're not. I don't know when I'm going to get those done, and it's not pertinent for the assignment. But
Okay.
I'm just going to work on those in my own time to help individuals understand these templates through and through.
Okay.
There's also a couple others here that
The elephant. Sorry. That's cute.
sample
I just
animation.
talked about elephants.
But this one right there is sample interactive animation. The nice thing about that one is it does show interactivity. And we have the media playback, and I'll be helping you with your audio or using audio.
That's the only. I think I can do the other. Just the audio part. I'm trying to. And this is different than what I used in the other class. You know, with my ammo and all that. So that's pretty too. Look at that.
Yeah, that is pretty.
Huh.
WebGL is a set of library routines that help with 2D or 3D animation. It's kind of like an extension.
I'll have to. That is so neat. Look at that. I sure could use that in one of my other classes. That's okay.
Let's see here. Yeah, this is WebGL 2D and 3D. You can see the WebGL right there. That means this document is that WebGL format. So those are some ideas. Let me see if I can get this other one here. Well, we'll go ahead with.
That is such a cute elephant. I'm sorry. That's kind of what I did my camel. I got the tail moving and stuff. It's pretty neat. Oh, it's not gonna let you adjust it, is it?
I
think 24 isn't it the best?
Yeah, that's the one that's used for TV refresh. This one is interactivity. And here you can see the script right in there. And this is the JavaScript that's being used. This is really, click on it and it opens up a web link. And right here, because it says the word canvas, what that means is this file is designed to output HTML. I'm going to sample puzzle game.
Well, that was fast.
I think I need to
slow it down. Oh, there you go. Uh-oh.
So this is pretty neat. You know, it's an interactive. I don't even know.
Uh-oh. I don't know either.
But the nice thing is it's interactive, and so that is that's here. So you can see there's a lot of look at that, 4 frames. This game. If you look in the let's see, actions here. So frame 1. So this dot stop, that stops the animation. Play button. This is kind of this creates the event lister on the click. If you click on it, then it goes to frame 1 and stop. This is a for loop. Got the title. And it's pretty interesting. It's HANGMAN. See that? HANGMAN. What it's doing is it's creating an array from that word, splitting it into characters, and then setting up a variable such that it increments and goes through the array. And it says, to this particular item, I want you to set the text. And so it's going to go HANGMAN. And it's going to do the uppercase of that particular array. And so that's why it comes out with HANGMAN in capital letters. Anyways, that's kind of advanced, but this is very advanced here. I can go through the code and explain to you what it does, but this is definitely more than what we need for this class. But it's a nice game to have to study, you know. So. Okay. So we have the WebGL, Canvas, HTML, button interactivity, and then a game. Well, I kind of feel like maybe it's time to let you chew on some of these ideas, and then we can resume tomorrow with some of your ideas of
about the same time.
What you do for animation. Yeah.
We kind of went over tonight.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
So let's see. So let's get back to the. Let's see. Oh, I'm already there. Okay. Oops. Okay, so tomorrow we'll go a little further. We'll introduce the assessment. We can talk more about your storyboard. If you can put some time into doing your storyboard, and then you can maybe start working on your discussion. And I'd like to talk over some of your ideas tomorrow night, and we can add to them. How's that sound?
I will do my very best.
Awesome.
To try to find out at least a few ideas at least.
Okay, good.
Okay,
feel free to text me during the day. That works very easily for me to get back to you too.
Okay, not a problem. Hopefully she'll get that other thing fixed.
Yes, I'm going to message her right when we're done.
Okay, thank you, and you have a good night.
Thanks, you too, Liz. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.